What's good, YouTube? It's Remember What's Good back in their Squideo. You guys know what I love about Tier 0 formats? It's the fact that there's so much emphasis on technical play as well as deck building, and you're able to experiment with a plethora of different cards. It seems like the meta kind of shifts every single week. There are new things that happen and come out based on what people are testing, and I was testing a new series of cards, and I've seen other people kind of play around with these as well, specifically more along the lines of rogue decks. But guys, let me know what you think about these cards, if they're any good in your guys' testing. I think they're really cool. So without further ado, let's just dive in. So at the very top of my list is Ultimate Slayer. A lot of people have kind of forgotten about this card, but it says your opponent cannot activate monster effects in response to this card's activation. You send one monster from your extra deck to the graveyard as a cost, and then you target a monster that your opponent controls, which is the same type as the card that you send to the graveyard, and spin it back to the deck. This could be highly relevant against decks like Fire King, you know, when they do have a plenitude of link monsters on the table. Obviously, Ambler Whale is one of the typical end board links that they stop with, as well as cards like Appaloosa. And there are actually some good links that you can send to the graveyard. If you are playing the Garura already in your extra deck in tandem with Super Poly, you can actually send Bucephalus too, which allows you to spin back the Appaloosa, then use Garura to draw a card and replenish that same Ultimate Slayer that you used. Now, the nice thing that I like about Ultimate Slayer as a card is that, you know, Fire Kings, basically all of their interruptions are monster effects, so they have to respond in some capacity to a removal like effect like this. So typically they might have like a Kieran in their hand that they could just chain to any other targeting or removal, or something like Change of Heart. But Ultimate Slayer just prevents you from activating monster effects in response to it. So you just cannot Kieran and try to protect the Ambler Whale and then trigger off your Grunix in the graveyard. So that means that if you're able to remove the fire link monster from the board, and they actually don't have another fire monster in their hand or on the field to trigger with Kieran, that means they're actually cut out of rotation period of both Garunix as well as the princess that's in the graveyard, right? So this could potentially be really backbreaking if you're playing a deck like Voiceless that already takes advantage of having a very variety of toolbox in their extra deck. It's very roomy. You can kind of pick and choose what you want to play. Then this could definitely be something that's relevant. Also, the Pure Snake Eyes are also playing a lot of synchro-based cards like Baron de Fleur, maybe Borderlord Savage Dragon, so that's something else you can kind of toy around with. You can maybe send like a copy of Omega and then further disrupt their graveyard. If they have something like a Princess in the graveyard, just spin that back. Or potentially something like a Wind Pegasus, which could also be somewhat relevant. This is just really cool that it's flexible, I think, in the right deck where you have a lot of extra deck space. So it's a card that I think you could definitely test, for example, in the Voiceless Voice deck. Guys, what do you think about this card, actually? I've always loved this card, but I've never really had the opportunity to play it. But I do like how it's a cost, so you do send that card to the graveyard, and then you have the effect no matter what, even if they do respond with like a spell card or a trap card and then a monster effect. So yeah, that's the caveat with this card. They could potentially respond with something like a Cosmic Cyclone if they started that going first, then respond with a Kieran, so that's just one thing to watch out for. But direct monster effects cannot be responded to in reactivation to the Ultimate Slayer. Next is about Super Polymerization. Now, obviously, everyone's sort of playing the typical cards with the Mud Dragon, because Mud Dragon is just insanely good against fire decks because they can't target if you call fire, or if you call a different attribute, you're just protecting your monsters. But there's also a couple of other options, and one that I've seen people kind of toy around with is actually Earth Golem at Ignister, who requires one Cybers monster plus one Link monster. And if you think really hard about the type of end boards that Fire Kings are actually ending on, a lot of times they are actually going for the IP Masquerena, which happens to be a Cybers monster alongside either an Appaloosa or like Ambler Whale, and they think they're protected from Super Poly because they have different attributes, so they cannot go into Mud Dragon. But then you can just hit them with the actual Wind Ignister guy, or the Earth Golem rather, and take advantage of the Cybers monster in the form of IP Masquerena or Decode Talker Hitso, which also is a Cybers monster. So anytime they have an end board that kind of has these cards on the table alongside another Link monster, which is quite common, then you can just hit him where it hurts with a Super Poly and get the Earth Golem onto the table. And although this guy's effect's not very good, he's still a monster body, and he has 2300 attack, which when you attack, actually, if you attack a monster that's special summoned from the extra deck, you can actually gain attack equal to whatever that attack is, so you get a free 2300 direct damage, and also swinging over something big. Really cool interaction there. I thought I'd show with you guys, because I've seen some people playing this and rated on DB, and it's really good so far. Branded Fusion in Voiceless is not necessarily that new, but I know a lot of people have not yet caught on to this, is that the fact that you can actually play 3 copies of Branded Fusion and 1 copy of Fallen of Albaz for the minimal engine, and use Branded Fusion as a super powerful starter as well as an extender. Well, not really starter, but you know, you get a Mirror Jade on the table, which is still really effective against the Fire King deck because you're banishing things and it doesn't target. And the most important reason why you would want to play Branded Fusion and serve as an extender is when you're playing Diviner the Herald and this gets impermed or veilered, it's really, really important to have follow-up because you obviously cannot easily tribute the Diviner because it's a level 2, right? It doesn't get any levels. But what you can actually do with Branded Fusion is you can send the Fallen of Albaz alongside a light monster to make Albion the Branded Dragon, which requires a Fallen of Albaz and a light monster, and you can just dump the Trias Hierarchia instantly. And you guys already know that the whole point of Diviner is to dump the Trias Hierarchia to tribute it so you can get the Novox on the table, right? But you can actually now do this after the Diviner gets veilered and then just tribute out to summon the Hierarchia that you dump off of Branded Fusion, and then you still get the low/Novox back on the table because, you know, Diviner's not negated in the grave, and then you're kind of still off to the races, right? It serves as a play around to the Imperm or the Veiler, and after all of that, what you can actually do with Albion is you can use the effect to banish the Fallen of Albaz plus itself to actually go into the Lubellion, the Searing Dragon, discard a card, and then goes directly into the Mirror Jade with a banished Albion, which means that you're going to leave the Lubellion on the field, and Lubellion happens to be a light level 8 monster, which means you can then hard tribute for another copy of either Skull Guardian or Cerevis by using the Ritual spell, right? Because that one just tributes any light monsters in order to summon the light Ritual monsters. So it kind of allows you to have that extender interaction anytime that your Diviner gets interacted with. And then, of course, you can dodge Imperm Veiler if you go ahead and start off with Branded Fusion and just dump the Trias Hierarchia into the graveyard, because this can also tribute the low as well, so you just prevent them from imperming that, because you can just get the Hierarchia and then you get the continuous spell or the trap on the table, summon something out, and then bring back the low from the graveyard. So really, really nice interaction there. Next one is a little bit of a doozy, but Typhoon. I was looking for hand traps to play, and I realized this card says target one face-up spell trap on the field, destroy it. If your opponent controls 2 or more spell traps and you control none, you can activate this card from your hand. So it's actually the definition of a hand trap, a lot like Infinite Impermanence. And, you know, you can hit a lot of cool stuff in the format. Obviously, Fire King Island, anytime that they have Fire King Island on the table alongside something in their spell and trap zone, maybe like an IP Masquerena that they set up with Flamberg, you can then use the Typhoon to either snipe the IP Masquerena on your turn, or you can actually hit the Fire King Island and then Raigeki their entire board. Now, the only caveat is you have to make sure they don't actually have the Fire King Sanctuary on the table, because this card allows them to protect the Fire King Island by destroying another fire monster anytime that island would be destroyed. Now, the one thing I realized from playing is that a lot of people going the standard line with Snake Eye Ash are actually going to tribute off the Snake Eye Ash, or send to the graveyard rather, for its effect alongside the Sanctuary as a free send to go ahead and special summon out either Oak or the Flamberg Dragon, meaning a lot of times they don't actually have the Sanctuary, right? Like, no one's really playing the Garunix XCs right now because he's kind of a brick and he doesn't really come up enough for you to justify, so that's why they're always sending away the Sanctuary. And anytime they have that naked Fire King Island on the board, you can actually disrupt them hard with a Typhoon and choose to Raigeki them a lot like how you would Cosmic Cyclone. Now, in addition to that, you can obviously hit the scaled monsters that Flamberg puts in the scale, as well as other annoying things like Divine Temple of the Snake Eye, and of course, anti-spell fragrance and other spell floodgates that prevent you from playing. And maybe they just flip it up immediately and you can go Typhoon and just instantly interact with it, right? So it's kind of interesting how this card has some dual utility. You can catch them off guard a lot of times and then just snipe them on their turn in the island. If they don't actually have the Sanctuary on their end board, then that means you're blowing everything up. And because Garunix has already used the effect, they're basically losing their entire board. They might get the Ambler Wheel trigger, but they're still going to lose the Appaloosa as well. So it's just like an interesting card that no one can really play around because you don't really suspect it coming. And then the last card I want to talk to you guys about is the Blackluster Soldier, the Soldier of Chaos, specifically in ritual-based decks like Voiceless, because this requires 3 cards with different names. And if you link summon it using a level 7 or higher monster's material, your opponent actually cannot target it with card effects, nor can they destroy it by card effects. And of course, you guys know when this swings over to something by battle, it gains a whopping 1500 attack, which makes it very, very difficult to get rid of, in addition to having a banishing effect as well, non-targeting, so you can always use that as a resource. I realized that Fire Kings can actually out it through battle using the Salamangreat Raging Phoenix, because this can just gain up to like 5800 attack if you pop a Flamberg, so that's something to be aware of. But I think Blackluster Soldier is really, really interesting. You can just instantly link climb into it with something like a Skull Guardian, and of course these guys don't lock you in any links or anything, so it's really, really nice that you can just link climb and potentially have this as a toolbox option. I've seen some OCG players use it. Another card that I've seen some people talk about is NEPHTHYS, the Sacred Frame, which is very, very similar. It requires 2 monsters including a ritual monster, and it's a Link 3, which is very similar, and you gain effects based on the number of ritual monsters used for the Link summon. 1 or more cannot be destroyed by battle, 2 or more cannot be destroyed by card effects or by battle, and it gains 1200 attack. 3 or more, it can't be targeted either in addition to all the other effects, and it goes up to 4800 attack. But then you read the fine text and you're like, wow, this requires up to 3 ritual monsters to actually gain the full benefit of the effects. At that point, you'd probably just rather play the Black Luster Soldier, Soldier of Chaos. You just need like 1 ritual or none at all if you just have like a Triarch's Hierarchia that you could use instead. So I think VOS is definitely better, but guys, I think you should have something like this in your extra deck because a lot of decks actually struggle to get rid of this. And if they're not playing like Underworld Goddess or they have no way to push through that Salamangreat in battle, then you could just stick this on the table and it's very, very hard for people to get rid of it. So yeah, guys, that's all I had for this video. What do you guys think about these cards so far? And what do you guys think about the format so far? Let me know in the Squidio comments below. I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks for tuning in. Bye-bye.